Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher again. We're off and running on working the goldfinch up. I now have the whole thing completely burned as far as the wings go. I still need to do the coverts in here, and that, but we're going to do the tail today, and I'm going to show you how we go about doing the top of the tail. Okay, and we'll wrap that up, and then if we got time, I'll try to go into the coverts over here. This should be fairly simple because it's going to be similar to the top of the head. We're not going to raise these too much in here at all, I don't believe. So let me continue on. A couple other comments I got from other viewers that follow my channel about holding the piece. He had difficulty trying to mark things, and he got one of these vacuum vices that locks onto a table or anything else. And I just want to pass that on to you that he had purchased that, and that gives him a chance. The vice holds the piece, and then he could work with it as far as marking it out, I would assume. I personally have to have the thing in my hand, but it does act like another hand, and I'm going to also show you something else in a second here when I bring the camera down. But there's a few things that were brought up, which I'm trying to pass on as information for you. The vice is one thing, and that's handy for people that may need to really get a hold of the piece. Sometimes when we're marking things out, it wants to walk all over the place. I have a table, yeah, can't even get the words out. A table, my work table here, is varnished. So things tend to want to slide. So what I have, and I've probably mentioned it to you, this is kind of dirty and everything else, don't get me wrong. But this stuff you can get in the dollar store. This is for shelving, so that if you have dishes and you want to stack them, you don't want them to slide out or anything, this works out great. And you can get a whole roll of this for $1 something, it's really cheap. And that's ideal. And you'll see me using that almost all the time when I'm marking things out. And I'm going to show it to you again because what it does, it makes it stationary and it doesn't move on you as much, and it acts like a third hand so that you got one hand sort of holding the piece so it ain't sliding around, but the having some grip on the bottom really is good. Some people, the vise works out great too, and the vise can be anchored down almost anywhere. As far as I don't have one, but he suggested it, and it's got a lever, if I believe I got it right. And when it's a suction cup type thing that grabs the table as you get the lever over, it grabs. So it's not like you got to clamp things and stuff like that. You do have a vise that I guess adjusts back and forth that will hold the piece. So if that's helpful to you, I'm passing that on, okay, for information. He brought out a couple other things that I'm going to use just a cardinal, which is a bigger bird, just so you can envision it. I usually tell you to run a center line down the middle of the body, and you'll see on most of my patterns, I measure everything from the center line out on both sides, top and bottom, okay? And that's how we get our points of the way the feathers lay and everything else, okay? Well, I also, to alleviate people having a lot of wood to take off, if you notice, I got like 45-degree chamfers on every corner here. So I take a lot of the excess off because you got to round this yet. And by having a squared up piece, I trim these. Now, his suggestion was for me to put a center line in, both top and bottom, and that's what I do, okay? And I determine that. He was saying to do it before I do these cuts because he was having a hard time with it. However he handles it, I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to mark it out, okay? I'm going to have you determine where to put the center line. And this is how you do it. You measure it across here and put a dot in the middle of what the overall is, okay? You come out here, even though I got 45-degree chamfers here and here all the way around, it's where my finger is here and where my finger is here. You measure from the outside to the other outside over here, and whatever that measurement is across, this is on the outside, not to these edges inside here. It's the outside edge, and you determine what the distance is across, and whatever that is, halfway, you put a dot, and then you got a dot down here and a dot up here, and you just run it up. Now, the head's a whole different ball game, and I'm going to show you on the head, and maybe I got some of you into a bind, but I'm going to show you how to address this on this bird, but it's any bird, okay? So I'm going to try to go through that before we start in on the tail. So if you'll bear with me, these are just points where I'm trying to help you out. At the same time, I don't want to do everything for you. If you can't measure from outside to outside, that's your problem. I like to make everything easy, but I'm giving you this information. Work it out, whatever works for you, okay? But this is the way I've been doing it. And I think that you can, I know you get caught with this edge and this edge, which is an inside, because I did a 45-degree chamfer on here. I'm just trying to help you get rid of some of the wood, okay? And that's what I do on my blanks, okay? A lot of people that sell blanks, this is all squared up. And that works out real easy for what he was trying to get at. From outside edge to outside edge, there is no other edges. It doesn't have these inside cuts. So I'm just saying from outside to outside, you determine what that is and then put the dot in the middle, and then you could do your top, dot at the end, dot up here, run your line up. The head's a different story in a sense of how to determine that. And I'm going to show you that. Okay, I may have misled you along the way as far as getting the head so that there's enough room to get that in there, okay? The center line where it's properly should be located, okay? I always turn the head. So if you look at this bird is actually turning this way. And I do that because if you cut a bird straight on, it looks very stiff. If you turn the head this way or that way, it gives it a lot of movement. It's just the nature of how it looks. And it's something been doing for years. Years ago, what we used to do, like, here's a Canadian goose I did, miniature. And what we did, I cut this in one piece. In fact, I just shipped one out to somebody, and I hope he's watching this video because this will help him out. I have that straight on, okay? What we did with this to carve the head, after we carved it out and I got it just the way I wanted it, I cut right across here, turned the head, and if you look at it, you can see the head's turned. Here's the body center line, and the head's going over this way. You glue it back on, and then you get it really smooth before you start detailing, and then you can burn your strata lines all through here, the textured lines, and that's how you can hide that seam, okay? But most of the time, it's hard. This works out really easy for the goose because it's black and it sort of dissipates in there. When you got other birds, I hated to put seams where we cut the head. And so what I do is I automatically turn the head, okay? Except with these. Some of it, there's a lot of waste. And in this case here, That's how I handle that. So if you look at this straight on, you can see that the body's going down this way and the head's turning that way. And that's how we handle things like that. So, but I'm going to show you something else in the meantime, just to keep you on the straight and narrow here as far as how I approach things. Everybody does it a little differently, and I'll be the first to admit that. So you can follow my method, or if somebody else has a better idea, go for it, you know. But as far as marking it out, yeah, I could put the center lines in for you, but I've been doing this for so long, it's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. Not saying that I ain't open to it. I'm just passing that information on to you, okay? So I'm always trying to make things easier for you, almost, okay? So bear with me. I'm going to bring the camera down. Then I'm going to show you a little bit on, this is in general, okay? That was for just the blanks itself. It could be any bird, you know. We got our little guy, you know, like this, and I run that center line right down. Then there's another angle going out. So I'll show you how to do that as well. Again, just follow me on my videos, and most of the time, every once in a while I'm going to confuse you. If that's the case, definitely flag me on it, and I'm open for that too. But I'm going to try to zero in on something just so you have the right dimensions, okay? So bear with me. Another thing too, I would appreciate if anybody's watching and is enjoying my videos, if they would subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate that greatly. I would also ask if you have any friends that may be bird carvers or wanting to do bird carvings. If you could pass my information on so that they could get to my channel, that'd be great too. And if anybody needs anything like kits, or I have bits and power tools and you name it, I have catalogs. It's maybe like a 5 or 6 page catalog. It's not extensive, but I carry a lot of stuff that I don't even put in the catalog. So if you're looking for certain things, definitely get to me, and you know, I'll try to let you know or guide you in the right direction. I don't always want you to buy everything under the sun. I'm trying to get you just to buy what you need, okay? So bear with me. I'm going to move the camera down. We'll do a little bit on a beak location and how we do that, and then we'll go from there, okay? So bear with me. This is in general information, okay? And we'll go from there. So hang on. Okay, we're back again. You wouldn't believe it, but we're doing a goldfinch, but I'm going to show you something that is in general for most birds as far as the placement. I was telling you before, and I'm going to do one for you here just so I can have this done. This tail, as far as the width goes, on this one is like 1 3/4. So I'm going to come in 7/8, and 7/8 will get me to the other side too. So that's the middle of the tail. Then I'm going to come up onto the body, and I'm measuring outside to outside. I know that may be a little alarming for those who see this edge and this edge. Don't worry about it. You're working from the outside edge to outside edge. You lay a ruler on there, and this comes up to 2 3/8. So I'm going to come in 1 inch and 3/16. Put a dot there. I think I did that right. Hang on. Yeah, that's it. Then I lay my ruler down between dot to dot. Now here's the other thing I was telling you about. This is that mat that if you have this and you lay that down, it's not going to slide. You know, you put a little weight on it and it grips. I'm pushing like hell with my 2 thumbs here and nothing's moving. So I used to prepare a whole bunch of these around my table here for my students. So I lay this dot to dot, the ruler's edge, and then I draw the center line, okay? And that's how I establish the center line for the cardinal, okay? And that goes all the way up to the top. Now, here's the thing. This cardinal, let me bring this back into play here. The width of the head of the cardinal on the outside, the cheek to cheek, because that's what you need to build this from here to here. And this is like most birds. Most birds, if you go to the goldfinch, you have the cheeks out here to here, and this is the inner head where from the eye up, it slims down, and this gets taken out along the way, and then this gets rolled over this way. But this area right in here it narrows in, and that is this upper part here. So there's 2 dimensions, and this here is not 3/8, it's 9/16 and 9/16 out. So you need at least 9/16 and 9/16 from what would be the center line. And your center line, you could see this is going straight. And what I'm going to do is I'm cocking it so it has movement. If you really want to get crazy, you can move it in and out more. You know, this is on your own now. I mean, my blank, this is what I determine, and I sell the kits with that head turned like that. Now, I've done a cardinal where I had it looking straight at me like this way, and the body was going that way. There's a lot of things you can do. I even done a goldfinch where the goldfinch's head was turned almost 180 degrees and was looking out this way. So there's a lot. And I even have patterns for that too, if anybody ever wanted to try that. It's kind of a neat pattern. I got that out of a book. It isn't really original on my end of it, but I do have that, okay? And you can reposition this head on your own if you have the facilities to cut out the blanks. So I just want to let you know that. But anyway, back to the cardinal or any other bird, I usually have like a wedge that comes into the beak here. You can see I have some of my pencil markings here, and you can see a little bit here of when I come around with the bandsaw. I'm coming this way and I'm coming this way. And I'm trying to give you an area where the beak should be. Now, maybe every once in a while, I hope I didn't screw up and I haven't viewed all my other videos. What I want to do is at least have the width of this from the center out, 9/16. I need that. I need the width to be able to create that cheek. The upper head is a lot less. It's 3/8. But you got to start by going with the maximum amount. So here's what I do. Where I have my wedge, and I'm talking about this coming down this way and this coming this way, I'm putting a dot right here, which is right at the tip of the beak, okay? Now, one thing you can do to find where the center is between, or the area between this edge and this edge, you could come in and you're going to try to strike a center line. So if I want to go 9/16 and 9/16, that would be, I would need something that's going to get me 9/16 over. So if I come up where from this edge, I measure in, I'm gonna just go for the hell of it. Instead, I'll go for 9/16 and put a dot, okay, right there. So I'm guaranteed to have from this edge in 9/16. Then if I do like a line that from here to here, I would draw that very lightly. I'm going to do this just to show you. I'm going to connect that And it has nothing to do with the body center line, okay? So at least I know I got from here out to here somewhere, and the cheek is down here, not up here. It's down here is where the material is. So you're getting fatter down below here. You need at least 9/16 to get from here to here to accomplish getting that cheek in, okay? But you're not done yet. You want, from where that line is, you want to make sure you're perpendicular to that line by putting up your inch mark right here in line with that and measuring out 9/16. And you put a dot. And if you got it here and you got it over here, you got enough room to get that whole head in, okay? So the gentleman that was doing one of mine, I don't know which one it was at the time, I don't remember, he said I really left them with very little on one side. So maybe I misled you with the dimension, I apologize, but this is how you do it. You want to make sure that your center line, when you strike it in, has enough to go from the outside edge of the cheek to the outside of the cheek. And that is, the cheek is going to be occurring down by my finger, okay, and not up at the top here. But we're gonna reduce this as we go, and you'll find that you got to maintain it that way. And that also works with the goldfinch. You know what I mean? If I brought the goldfinch in, you're going to have wood that came all the way out to here and all the way out to here. And for what you need is from here to here, and I give you that, it's 7/16 from the center out. So when you go to strike your line, if I had given you a certain dimension, maybe I misled you, I don't know, but you got to at least have this so that you can measure out this way, and at least have 7/16 on both sides, okay? So I want to give you that to get started, and I think what I'm going to do is on this video, I'm going to publish this as a need to know on how to set up your center lines, because you got your center line here that's coming up like so, and that's the body center line, and then this comes up, and you can see they only meet back here, okay? And when you're doing your underneath side, you're going to transfer that around, and you now know where it is on the bottom, and you measure across here again for the body, and then find the middle, put your dot, and then what you're going to need is like a flexible ruler. I have one around here somewhere where you can bend it, and you can lay that down and go from dot to dot like so and draw that in. But this center line here is going out this way, believe it or not. And then you also want to make sure that you're slicing that, and you're not skewing this center line from one side to another. So I'm eyeballing it, but what you want to do is get your ruler and lay it on that center line, and look what you're doing on the top as it goes over this rise. And you want to also look at it in the bottom, and it should be riding along this edge, okay? So that if you like sliced it, it's going right on through, okay? Not that you're doing that, but that's how you determine the center line, both top and bottom. And you need to know that for this side and that side, okay? So I hope that helps, and I hope you'll use something like this. For those who want to get the vise, that's available. And so I just want to put you onto it. These are informational things that I have. The other thing I didn't do my homework on is sealing the bird. I know I've had some questions on sealing the bird after you get it all done. After we get this all textured and everything else and carved out. And when you go to seal it, I use a Krylon spray, but there are other items out there. And I have a video out on how to seal birds and what to do. I will show you how to do it on this one, but I mean, there is one specific, and I talk about different sealers that other people have used. I've been using the Krylon spray. I don't know the exact number right now because Krylon has changed the formulas around. So I just want to let you know that the formula has changed. The old number when it first started out was 1301. Now it's 51301, and it has changed again. And if you look into my videos where it says what sealers to use and so on, and it's a clear spray. You spray it on. I usually hold it about 6 inches away from the sprayer, the aerosol can, and it saturates it. And one other thing I want to advise you on, I don't know if I have it in front of me here. I have what I call a horsehair brush. Yeah, here it is. I put this in my machine. It's a horsehair, and it's stiff, and you want to run these at half speed. You don't want to run them full out at 30,000. They're not designed for that. And when you get done, you could come in for all the dust that's in there before you seal your bird. You want to come in and brush it all out. And for all the texturing you have, you'd be surprised how much dust is in there. And you'll get it all out with that. And for those who don't have one of these, use a toothbrush and brush it out real good before you seal it. So that's another thing to go after. So I apologize. I was going to do the goldfinch here, but for this video, it's just taking a little longer trying to express the information that I got and some of the things that people have been asking. So I figure maybe I better make this video for how to get the center line in and also how to really get enough room to get your head out, okay? This is the way I do it, okay? I make sure that I have, at least on the distance, the flat area here, enough, even when it comes down to here, because the cheeks are down in this area, that from here to here, I needed, by what the cardinal was asking me on the pattern, was 9/16. I have 9/16 right to this edge, and I have 9/16 to here. But the material actually goes out to here. But as long as you got enough of it going in, you put that dot 9/16 in and then draw your center line. That's guaranteeing that you got 9/16 down here, and you will have more over on this side because this tends to bend more, and you may have a little more material on this side than you would on this side. So I just want to show you some of the tricks of it. One other question I got too was soldering. I did a video on how to make feet. Let me go through the whole routine with this. I had like an asbestos roll. It's a flat one. You can even get a charcoal block and hold this stuff in. And what I did is I bent the wire to the length I needed. And most of my castings are to scale. So if you need to get it, a good example is to get a molded foot already, and you could get the length that you need, or I could give it to you if you call on me, and I'll try to help you out there. But what I did is I bent this wire this way. It goes down, bends a little bit, then bends again. So this portion is going into the base, and this is going into the bird, okay? So what I did here is I cleaned up all of the copper, and you could do that with a wire brush, or you can do it with sandpaper and sand the whole thing out and get that nice and shiny. Then I cut pieces of the copper to the length I need, and the same way with the back toe. And the copper's nice because you can even get, when I was talking to you about stones before, like this is a carbon silicate stone. It's nice to have in your arsenal. It's good for texturing, and it's also good for shaping and cutting things in, like on copper. Now, what I'll do is I'll first glue it up. I'll get these pieces and I'll lay everything flat. I'll get this into my charcoal block or my asbestos roll, and then I put these pieces in here. And if you look at my videos, I show you that too. You want to make sure they're all clean, and I know some people said they had difficulty doing it. You want to have everything cleaned up, and then also certain birds have a tendon, okay, in the back. For some of the wire, like if you're just doing a regular bird, you know, or something like that, and you're not worried about the detail too much, or if you're doing a competitive piece, you want to get that tendon in there. So I cut this, I forget what gauge wire I have here, but you want to get a thinner gauge so it's about half the thickness of what you have for the wire on here that's doing the whole turning. And I'll glue that. I'll lay that down on the block, lay that against it, and I'll clean all of it up. Then I put a little bit of flux in there, and then I have a torch, and if anybody's after them, I have them. I sell them as well. And it's you can just fill it up with butane. It's a butane lighter is basically what it is. And you can hit the button and it gets you your flame real quick. And then you heat this, and you got to watch, you get your solder. You want to get like a rosin core solder, and just hold it along there like a piece of wire. And then once it gets hot, it starts just melting off, and that's what I do. I get that in there, and I do the same thing on the other side just to make sure. Then I'll put it in water. You never want to pick it up because it'll be too hot. Use a pair of pliers. Then you come back, get it into your block, get these little pieces together here. Let me flip this over so you can see it a little better here. I maneuver this up to that wire going down, which is this portion going down, and then I do this one and the back one, and I do the same thing. You got to clean it up after each soldering, and then you get your solder again, put your flux in there, and the flux back here, and then get your wire solder core sticking out. Hit the flame on it, and don't linger it. You'll see it flow, and it'll flow right between these guys, and it'll flow back in here if you do it right. And you can also do it on the underneath side, okay? And sometimes it even flows more than you want it. So here you go again. You can get your carbon silicate stone, and you can come in and clean that up, okay? And don't go using your rubies or your diamonds. You don't want to ruin them. They're not made for that, okay? And you can clean that up and shape it. And and if you have excess, they even make them thinner so you can get in between here too. And I have those as well. And then after that, I'll use the corner here to put some ribbing in for the legs here, okay? And I'm doing that. And then I also texture up front here. I'll put some ribbing going across here by using the corner of this, okay? And that's a good way of doing it. Now, on the end here, what I do, about 1/8 of an inch from the end of the wire I come in and I take it down. I thin it down on the side of this and the side of this, okay? And it gets real thin. Then I come in and I just lay this before the end here. And I just lay it in and grind that out till it looks like it's got what's the name? A hook. I'm not using the right expression here. The toe actually has boy, I'm running out of adjectives here as far as describing it. But you get the nail. That's what I'm trying to say. It gets a nail in there, and you can thin that out, and you can get it as pointy as you want, by undercutting in here. And that's how I do those, and I do all of those after I added solder, okay? And that's how you make your legs. And a lot of times when you're doing competitive work, you need to make your own. So this is okay to use. The castings that I sell, in some cases, will allow you to use the casting. But in most cases, if you're doing competitive stuff, you got to make almost everything. So this is one way to do it, okay? There's other ways as well, but for those who had some difficulty, you want to get some solder. And one thing, let me grab something here. Here's some, this is called liquid flux. They also have this available. This is old as the hills, I hate to say it, but you can get it on an inexpensive paintbrush, artist brush, and just paint it on. And this stuff is great too. This will work, but you don't need this. You can, with your solder that you get in a hardware store, you could get the solder, and you can get the rosin core solder and do the job with that. Okay, so just wanted to give you some heads up on how we do things here, and some of the questions that were being asked to me. So I hope that's helpful to you. And whenever you got questions or anything like that, fire away. And I know some of you had mentioned about certain things, and I'll try to iron things out for you, okay? I didn't do my homework totally on the seal. I used to use gesso, but I got totally away from that, and that's a different story. I use, after I spray it with the Krylon spray, I come in with titanium white acrylic paint, and I paint that on first to get me a white base. And the reason why I do that is because I'll come back after I've burnt the bird and had all the texturing, and this is all white. I'll come back after I paint and have it all done. Sometimes I'll lower the temperature on the burning unit, and I'll come in and I'll texture and put some shadowing in over top of the burn, okay? That's just a trick I do. Not everybody does that, but it's a thing I do, that if you want to shadow something. I'm not saying to burn it to get real dark or something like that, but it just enhances it along the way. If that's helpful for you along the way as another trick to make the bird look more authentic, or you want to shadow in a certain area, that's what I do. And that's what the titanium white paint doesn't lift and show that underbelly of the white where gesso does. And that's why I don't use gesso anymore. So I hope that's helpful to you. If it is, please give me a thumbs up. And if you would subscribe to my channel, I hope you would. And if anybody needs any help, or I confused the heck out of you along the way, please get back to me, and I will try to guide you in the right direction, especially like with center lines and what have you. I don't want you to start a project and things don't turn out right for you. I want to try to address the problem. And it could have been me doing this in the video, and I can't say I screwed up. I may have, okay? I didn't visit all my videos to see how I do every one of them. I'm hoping to give you the exact thing you should be doing, but maybe I wasn't clear at the time and somebody got misled, okay? So this is what I want you to look for. And you got to definitely make sure that, like, just on the cardinal, this goes for any bird, you want to make sure you have enough room to get that cheek in. And the cheek is not up here, it's down here, okay? And you got to understand that. See, we'll have a lot of material up in this area here, but the cheek, let me bring this back. I hope I'm not out of the screen. This here, a lot of material comes off of this when you do the cardinal, and the cheek pops out, and that's going to be in here, down here. See, the beak is down here. The other thing I referenced too, and let me also do this too. This center line, I strike a center line through here, and a lot of times I'll probably tell you, I'm going to just measure this just for, a lot of my stuff is to scale to start. So like 1.5 inches down from the crest of this bird, if I hold this in profile just like it is in here, and I measure straight down 1.5 inches, I'll say it's right there. I can't say that's perfect all the time, but you got a point for the tip of the beak right here, and I put a dot there, and I got that 1.5 inches straight down, as straight as I could get it, going straight down in that position, and I put a dot there. Then I come over here, and I lay my ruler between the two of them, and I strike that beak line. Now, if you don't have enough room to come down on this beak, then you may want to move that line up a little bit more, okay? And there's nothing wrong in doing that, okay? Like so. And I just move that right on up, and now you have what I call a beak line, okay? And that beak line is where I measure everything off of, from the tip of the beak along this beak line. I come in 7/8 in from here. I make a perpendicular line, and then 5/8 up from that, or 5/16 is where I locate the eye. Then to determine where the cheek is, from that eye back, I go 3/4 inch, and that's where the cheek comes around. And then you could see I have the eye is 5/16 up. The cheek bottom is 1 1/4. Okay, I mean, is 1/4 inch down. So that determines, everything's being measured off of this. Now, the other tricky thing is where this is coming up, and you got to get it to the other side. I'm not going to say this is the easiest thing going, but I'm going to ask you to look at this. You're getting a perpendicular, like crosshairs coming across. I'm going to take a wild stab and put a dot in what I think is perpendicular right across there to this side. Then I know I have my corner of my beak, or the tip of it, right there. So I'll draw a straight line real lightly through that dot to see if I'm right. Then I'm going to check, as we're looking down on this, that you have a 90-degree here, a 90-degree to here, and here. If you do, now you got what I call crosshairs. So you also have now established the beak line on this side, and then you could build things off of. But you're going to find out, just like when we did the cardinal, that the width of the beak gets really wide, and the width of the beak is only 3/16 on each side. So this comes in a lot even after we put it in. So get ready to reduce some of this to that measurement, okay? And excuse me. And I try to give you as much information as I can. I can't say that everything's 100%. But I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I want you to, excuse me, I want you to perfect doing these, okay, to the best of my ability, that you can have a better chance of making this than, excuse me, that you can perform and come up with something really nice looking when we get done. So I hope this is helpful to you. And I just want to go over this again. So this is general information, and it'll apply to most birds. For those who are following me on the chickadee, I'm all right, the goldfinch, my next video, which I think will be like 11 or 12 or something, I think it's 12 or something like that, will be following after this video. I just wanted to get this out because people were having some difficulties, and if I can stop you from having those problems, I'm going to try to get to it as soon as I can. And if you have any other comments, fire away. I'll be open for you. Again, if anybody needs anything, I do have patterns. I do have blanks. I have eyes. I have feet. Excuse me. And if you need, I have catalog also. And if you need anything, I have power tools that I sell, the micro grinder and so on. These guys here. And I also have the Fordhams and stuff like that. And if you need anything, definitely contact me. I'll try to advise you on what I think is the best buy. And a lot of times it's your pocketbook I'm trying to watch for you too. So you can take my word for it, or you can ask around and see. You know, don't just take my word for it. And if you want to go with me, I'm going to try to guide you where I think is best for you. So I do have a catalog. If you need it and you'd like to see what I'm carrying, my email address to get the catalog is Rauscher, Rauscher, Frank, Frank, 7 at gmail.com. And I'll gladly send that out to you through an email. And if you need anything, please contact me through the email, or when you get the catalog, I also have my phone number on there. You can order it through the phone. Oh boy, got a hairball, I think. And so I can make things available. I do take credit card, and I do take PayPal. So I would need that information if you're wanting to purchase something. So get back to me. Again, I hope you enjoyed what you saw and learned something. And if you did, like I said, give me a thumbs up and pass the word on about my channel. Appreciate it very much. Talk to you later.